All right, folks, so you need to have your notes packet out and you need to have your homework packet out. And we will be going over the graphing calculator use and doing a few problems together. Just a reminder, page 6 kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking for and where you need to go. So we're going to be using second trace on our calculator. If I want you to find a y value, you can either use value or you can access the table. If I'm asking you to find an x-intercept, you're going to go and use 0, and if you're asked to find the vertex, you're either going to use minimum or maximum. Okay, we'll see. This one will come up to, if I'm asking you to find an x value, how you go about that. Okay, and you'll need to be using the y equals. So anyway, let's move over. We are on page 8. So where we started with is on this problem is we type this into our calculator. So if you have since deleted it, you will want to get that typed into your calculator. So you want x squared minus 10x plus 24. We also set our windows, so maybe reset the windows or make sure that your window is like that. So there's the y equals, there's the windows, and I'm going to be moving along. So if you need to stop or catch up, then you hit pause and you can rewind. So at this point I can just hit graph, and we drew our picture and we went through of how we found our x-intercept, our y-intercept, our zeros, which are the x-intercepts, and the arrows and all that good stuff. So we first filled in our axis of symmetry. So remember, the axis of symmetry is the line that cuts it in half. And the idea is if it goes right through and the equation in your notes is supposed to be x equals, you can just use the x value of the vertex. So that's why we got that in there. And then we had gone over to the table, and I explained to you that I always want 5 values in here and that the vertex should go in the middle. And we knew the vertex, but then from there, this is kind of where time is running out. After you get your x value, I want you to pick 2 bigger than your x value and the 2 smaller than your x value, and these should go in order 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've had some patterns here, but our pattern's going to be a little bit different in the quadratic, so that's what we're going to start looking at. So complete the table. This is a good indicator that you can actually just go to your table and scroll up and down so that you can fill in the values. Okay, so again, this is all graphing calculator. So what I want you to do is, given x, I want you to find y. So you're finding y. So again, what that means is if you're finding y, you can either use value or you can use the table. So we'll practice by doing a little bit of both. So the first time I'm just going to use value. So you need to press second trace. You need to choose the first option. And then just down here, I'll type in exactly what I see. X is 7. And I get an answer of 3. So y is 3. And then I would like for you to write that as an ordered pair. So 7, 3. Now I want to find the y-intercept. So remember, all y-intercepts are when x is 0. Intercepts something is 0. And in the y-intercept, y is a number. So that's going to make the x be 0. And I realize we already have it here, but again, the way we could do that is going back to second trace, choose value, and then just under x, x is 0, and y is 24. All right, on the next one, let's find the 0 or the x-intercept. So again, we already did this. I'm not going to review that step with you. So I'm just going to copy them here. X-intercepts have x as a number, so 4, 0, and 6, 0. The vertex we already found as well, so I'm going to copy that in there. My vertex was 5, -1. The minimum or maximum, so it is one or the other, and this is a minimum. And if you forget the phrasing of this, you can just go back into your notes. You can go to page 3 and look at the bottom, and I show you how to phrase this. But we're going to write it as the minimum is y equals -1 when x equals 5. So the actual minimum is the y equals -1. This x equals 5 just gives us a little bit closer of a direction of where to look. So I haven't forgotten about this one, but I'm going to come over here, and what I want you to do is find, given all of these x's, you are going to be finding y. So again, the different ways to find y is to either use value or to use the table. So this time I'm just going to go, I'll try some of them with value and I'll try some of them with the table. So first I'll just go to second trace, I'm going to choose value, and I can put -3 in there, and if I get any decimals, I do ask that you round to the nearest hundreds. So when I go there, I get 63, no problem. If x is 0, second value, again, or second trace, choose value, put 0 in. We already know this answer, it's 24. And then 60, again, you can go to second trace, you can put in 60. Whoops, I didn't do that right. So choose value, put in 60, and we're going to get an error message. And we did talk about this earlier in the week, that the reason why this isn't going to work is because x is 60 doesn't fit in here. So this is where I would recommend that you actually go to your table instead. So you can go to second graph to get to your table, and boy, scrolling to 60 is going to be, that's going to take a long time, on my calculator anyway. So another thing we talked about in the last chapter is actually going to this table set. So I'm going to press second window, and this tells me where I want my table to start. So since I'm looking for 60, let's just have it start at 60. And then I can go back to my table, second graph, and I can see it's 3024. And then the same with 150. I could just scroll to 150, but that's going to take a long time. So let's go back to table setup, second window, and I'm going to make 60 be 150. And now I'll just go back to the table, press second graph, and I can see that I get 21,024. So I didn't have to do any rounding there. So let's talk about the next set of problems. What do I do when I want to find x? So here I need to find x, here I need to find x, here I need to find x. So if I go back to my notes and I look at that, and I need to find x, I'm going too far. What I'm going to be doing is, if I need to find an x value, I'll be using the y equals button. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and press that on your calculator. And we have done this before, it's just presenting itself a little differently. And I'm going to start with this problem. So the function is this, f of x equals x squared minus 10x plus 24. So remember, f of x is y. So I just want to take this and make f of x or y become 120. And the reason why we're going to go to y equals is because we're going to put one side in y1. So we already have this one in y1. So I'm going to put this one in y2. This is our chapter of systems of equations. So I'm at y equals. I've got y1 filled out. I'm going to put 120 in for here. And my goal is just to see where these two meet. So the easiest way to probably start doing this is to do zoom fit. So zoom fit is zoom 0, if you can see that here. So it's just faster at this point to press zoom 0 instead of scrolling up and down. And I'm hoping I can see where these two meet. Alright, so there's one. And I don't know if these two will meet, if I'll see it. Oh, here we go. Alright, I'm really close to seeing, if you notice, you can definitely see where it meets here, but it's also meeting over here. So I can get both answers. I will adjust my window really quickly. I'm going to press window, and I need to go further right, so I'm going to change my x max from 15, I'm just going to make it 25, and hit graph again. All right, now I can see where it meets, and it's meeting twice. So again, once you do that, you're under second trace, and I think we're gonna have to make a little addition in our notes now that I'm thinking about it. Under this, we're gonna do, y equals, we're gonna enter one side of the equation into y1, the other one into y2, and then we're gonna find the point of intersection, which shows up on option 5. So now that I can see them, I've pressed second trace. I'm going to choose option 5, and I need to get my cursor to one of them. So the left and right arrows move you along one shape, where the up and down arrows move you from one shape to another. So I'm going up and down, and now I'm going left to right. So first I'm going to put the cursor where I think it should be, and then once I get it where I think it should be, I just actually have to enter 3 times. Once for first curve, second curve, and the third time for intersection. So it's meaning one point of intersection is 16 and 120. So where are we? So one of the answers is 16, but I'm going to write it as an ordered pair, so 16 and 120. And then I'm going to do this again. I'm going to press second trace. I'm going to choose the 5th option. This time I'm going to move my cursor over to the other one. So it might take a little while longer. I'll put it right where I think it is, and then I'm going to enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And this one's at -6 and 120. So I guess I'll switch the other -6 here, but then I'll write it as an ordered pair, -6, 120. And I know that gets blurry and it goes in and out of focus. So that's all I'm going to do here is I need to find y if x is 10, and then I'm going to find x if y is 10, and I'm going to find x if y is 20. So this time I want to think of it as 10 equals, whoops, changing it. And for the 20, it'll just be 20 equals x squared minus 10x plus 24. So I'm just going to repeat this. I'm going to go back to y equals. Remember, you can pause if you need to get this written down, and change 120 into 10. Again, the first time I always graph, I just start with zoom 6. Maybe that'll work. So there goes my U. In color, I can see that it's all the way at the top. I just need to go up a little bit more so I can see this. So I'm going to go to Window. I need to go up. That means I'm going to change my Y max. And I'll change it from 10. I'm going to change it to 30. And that will take care of both of them. So I'll hit Graph again. And it just takes a little while. And now to see where these 2 shapes intersect, I'll hit second trace, choose option 5 for intersect. I'm going to move my cursor to where it is, where one of them is, and just hit enter 3 times. So this one is, okay, so here I'm going to have to round to the nearest hundreds. So 68 is going to stay at 68 because of the 3. So one of them is -1.68. And then I'll do the other one, second trace, because there's actually 2 of them. Choose intersect. I'm going to move over to this one and hit enter 3 times. So this one is 8.32. So I'll just put it right here, 8.32 with 10. And then I'm going to do this one more time with the 20. I'm going to go back to y equals and change 10 into 20. I've already set the window up for you guys so that you can just hit graph. And this time is about to run out, so this video will end and it will start in another clip in just a moment. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and stop this one and start a new video.